Here's what happened during week 7 of The Greenhouse Season 2. Kaitlyn left 5 seeds to Johnny in her exit interview. Johnny only revealed this to Victoria and Clay. The other players assumed that Victoria received Kaitlyn's seeds. The Greenhouse Challenge had players finding matching pictures on various sets of cards. Players were able to use their seeds to buy shorter pathways to increase their chances of winning the challenge. Additionally, players could do longer tracks of the challenge in order to try to win multiple seeds. Brody won 2 seeds from the challenge, and the 3 players that entered the greenhouse were Brody, Laura, and Johnny. At the flower picking ceremony, Johnny got sunflower, Laura got rose, and Brody got 2 seeds. As the greenhouse players discussed the upcoming nominations, Laura revealed that she wanted to target Victoria. Johnny didn't really have a target in mind, so he said he would probably put up Maddie as a pawn. Both Laura and Johnny promised Brody safety. Victoria and Clay met up to discuss the upcoming nominations, and Victoria was upset that Laura was allowed to get Rose. However, Laura was the first place finisher in the Greenhouse Challenge, so there was really no stopping Laura from getting nominating power. The two agreed that they wanted to see Johnny target the biggest threat from the other side of the house, Patrick. Johnny promised Patrick safety because Patrick did not nominate Johnny the week before. Though let it be clear that Patrick was perfectly willing to see Johnny on the block last week. Johnny felt like he was making too many safety promises and found Maddie to be the only real option to nominate. Patrick and Laura discussed how they would be able to save Maddie, since only Patrick would be able to vote out of their top 3 deal with Laura, Patrick, and Maddie. They agreed that they needed Brody's vote. However, if they campaigned to Brody too hard, Brody would realize that it might not be in his best interest to keep Maddie. They agreed that it would have to be Maddie who campaigned for herself to stay. Clay and Victoria approached Johnny about targeting Patrick. Johnny says that he's uncomfortable with dominating Patrick because he promised Patrick safety. He would rather go for the easy out of Maddie. It's unclear if Johnny legitimately wants to target Maddie, has a genuine loyalty to Patrick, or just is uncomfortable with breaking promises.
I can't believe I'm still in this game. I can't believe I just was able to take 2 seeds. I mean, granted, I have no power in this game right now because I don't have any seeds. And once it gets down this late, it's all about the seeds. And so seeds, baby, seeds. That's gonna be an intro shot. Thanks, Taylor. But no, I really like how the power has fallen out. I think it's been beneficial for me without necessarily a lot of intention behind it, where it makes it less difficult for me to stretch and wear myself thin. Because I think both sides at this point still need me to beat the other side. And that's kind of been my intention this whole time, is if I can just ping pong back and forth and each side still needs me as a number. And because I have that big vote, it has a lot of worth as well. So having that basically 2 votes in any given round can sway the whole game. So each side needs me. I don't think either one wants to put me up the catches. And the reason I took 2 seeds isn't because I need the seeds. It's because I didn't want to show my cards. And if I chose either one of the nominations, I'm choosing a side. I don't want to choose a side if I don't have to. Eventually my cards can get shown. And I don't know which side that actually is, but we'll find out. So,
who do you think is going up this week?
honestly, every week I think it could be me. Just because it's stupid if you think you're not going up any given week. But I feel more safe this week than I probably should. I think it's going to be Victoria and Maddie. Just because that's the easy, non-offensive answers. So, we'll see them.
Patrick and Brody discussed the upcoming nominations, saying that they expect Victoria and Maddie to be the 2 nominees. Because they don't want to see themselves as the replacement nominees, they agree to make sure that Uproot is not purchased or used. Whenever Clay stops by, the 3 make a deal to make sure that Uproot is not purchased, and if Uproot is bid on, they will pool their seeds together to buy Uproot and not use it. Laura tells Maddie that it's up to Maddie to campaign for Brody's vote. She's afraid that if she campaigns too hard to Brody, Brody will realize that Maddie is much closer to Laura and Patrick.
he's gonna get it in his head that keeping you is better for us, but not for him.
Yeah.
So it needs to come from you.
Yeah.
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 At the nomination ceremony, Victoria and Maddie were nominated, as expected. Laura and Maddie approach Brody about voting to keep Maddie. Brody claims that Patrick has been getting really wishy-washy, so he's unsure where his vote is going to land. Laura and Maddie are visibly surprised that Brody would suggest that Patrick is uncertain where he will vote. Brody tells Clay that he realizes that Victoria is probably the stronger player strategically. However, he made a promise to Victoria and he plans to keep it by voting to banish Maddie. Patrick asks Victoria that if she plans to go for Uproot, she should use it on herself instead of giving it to another player. If she gives the Uproot to Clay for Clay to save her and make both Clay and Victoria safe, Patrick would be in more danger of being a replacement nominee. Patrick then reveals to Maddie and Laura that he told Victoria to do this because that would mean that Clay would be able to be the replacement nominee, and the three of them could send Clay home. But Victoria revealed to Johnny and Clay that she wasn't buying it at all. She knows that Laura and Patrick are close and didn't see Patrick in any danger if the Uproot was used. She ultimately decides not to go for the Uproot at the auction because she trusts that Brody and Clay will vote to keep her. Brody and Johnny discuss the state of the auction and they realize that neither nominee is going for Uproot because both nominees expect to have the votes to stay. Johnny reveals that he got the seeds from Caitlin's banishment, and they agree not to spend any seeds on Uproot in order to save seeds for the future. At the end of the auction, no bids were made, and the final nominees were Maddie and Victoria. Before the banishment, the three voters were Patrick, Brody, and Clay. Patrick pulled Brody to the side and made a hard sell for keeping Maddie.
You know, I feel more indebted to Laura than I do to Maddie. So
Same.
I don't think I owe Maddie this vote.
I don't either. I feel like
But I just don't think Victoria's picking me or you over Johnny or...
no.
And I think Maddie would pick us over Johnny and Clay.
Good point.
Brody told Clay that he was on the fence, and Clay used Brody's promises to Victoria and the bond between Laura and Maddie as arguments to send Maddie home.
Stick with the first daisy chain. Victoria's a better player, I think, strategically, which makes me want to get rid of her before we get to the end.
Not that you have to stick with this, but you did promise Victoria earlier on that you had her back.
I did.
And obviously I know things evolve and change.
Yeah.
But I think she still feels
She's
that.
definitely-
She's
she
not
definitely
dying for you
does.
in
Oh, I
any way.
know,
You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
That's the tough part.
And that I am nervous to keep Maddie is because Maddie and Laura had each other's backs in that last daisy chain. And I feel like they could very well do it again because they're still very close. And there are only, 5 spots then?
Playing the middle sometimes has its downfalls, and I'm fucking feeling it. The thing is, I feel like I trust Maddie more than Victoria, but at the same time, I'm just trying to run through, okay, daisy chain round or next round. Each one has, it's totally split. Each one has one person in power who can't compete next week. Oh fuck, I'm just gonna have to go. Who has more seeds? Johnny having 8 seeds is fucking whack. The Maddie group has more seeds than Clay and Victoria. Okay, let me think this through. Laura would save me over Clay. She'd save me over Victoria. She'd save me she'd save me over Johnny. She'd save me over Maddie. I think I'm not as close on the... would Clay save me over Victoria is what this comes down to. I just don't know if he would. Where I feel like Laura would save me over Maddie. Fuck, she's gonna be so mad. I'm gonna vote out Victoria. Can you call the 2 boys over?
Brody ultimately told Clay that he would be betraying Victoria by sending Victoria home. Patrick stressed that this vote, while divided, shouldn't affect anything between the 3 of them. And at the banishment ceremony, Victoria was banished by a vote of 2-1, and she had some words to say. You have been banished from the greenhouse. Thank you for playing.
you better be careful. All right? Have a good one. Oh my goodness, what a gentleman. You too.
Now let's wave goodbye.
Wait.
Thank you, Mom.
That's good for your ass, too.
Only 6 players remain. Who do you think will win? Who's going out next? The story continues next time on The Greenhouse Season 2.